Hello everyone, bringing you a video today talking about this. Obviously not a piece of Commonwealth or British uniform, with one perhaps small exception, Australian use, which I will get into in a future video perhaps. It's not a topic I'm going to get into today. But this is the US first pattern tropical combat jacket, or the jacket from the tropical combat uniform, otherwise known as jungle fatigues. And this of course is the ubiquitous reproduction from Mil-Tec. Now, as reproductions go, it's actually pretty good. It's cotton poplin. The cut is pretty good, but it's let down by these buttons, which are not brilliant. These reproduction buttons are not very good. And the insignia, including the rather naff first cav patch on the arm there, which does not compare favourably to an original I have. So my intention is to improve this for use in future videos. I'm also probably going to wear this around a bit as well. I like this jacket a lot. I've always liked the cut of it, so I will probably wear it a bit around and about as well, just in civvies. But the intention is to improve this so it can be used in a future video going forward, and that's what we're going to look at in this video today. We're going to have a look at what I'm going to do to this to improve it, which mainly involves replacing the insignia and the buttons. So we'll get into that now. If we take a closer look here, you can see the buttons on the Reproduction Tropical Combat uniform, as already said, are not ideal. They are not dark enough for a start. They're actually slightly lighter than the cloth of the uniform, and they are pretty dull. And the buttons that you tend to see on the early patterns of the Tropical Combat uniform are a much darker colour, and they are gloss. So I propose to replace these with these. Now, if I get one of these out from the bag here, you can see they're somewhat darker. They're a somewhat darker colour, and although they are dull, I propose to improve these, which we'll get onto in just a minute. These are in fact Australian Army buttons, copied from US pattern, and you can see they're sort of dark forest green colour, and I propose to basically make these gloss, which we'll have a look at now. Okay, so I'm doing this a specific way. I'm going to attach the buttons here to the piece of cardboard just with some blue tack, just to ease things a little bit. I'm just going to do a few here while I'm talking. The only reason I'm doing this way is basically because I happen to have the brush, the varnish, etc. from doing miniatures. If you were going to do this from scratch, get a can of spray varnish, get a can of gloss spray varnish. It's going to be far quicker. I'm just using what I have to cut down on costs. I'm not going to buy a can of spray varnish just to do a load of buttons. So I'm just going to do this by brush with an old knackered old brush I've got. But one option you could have, which actually came to light me when I realised I had these bits and pieces in to do this with, is a friend of mine actually improved the buttons that were already there on the jacket simply by using nail varnish, which can be bought very cheaply. If you just want to improve the buttons which are already there on the jacket itself, you could do that. You could just use a bottle of nail varnish, but obviously I'm using these Australian buttons as already described, and you can imagine how much quicker this would be using a spray can, but I'm being a cheapskate and just using the bits and pieces I had in. But once these are all gloss, they should look pretty good, and they should match up quite well to the buttons seen on original jackets. As I say, I'm not being particularly neat here, just putting a good layer of varnish on each one. Put that bubble in the hole there if I can. There we go. But as I say, once these are dried, they should look pretty good. But that's just 5 of them done there. I'm getting in the way of the camera now. But yes, so coat of clear gloss varnish. As I say, this is a knackered old brush as well that I'm using. I've just kept this for doing rough bits and pieces and applying glue and things. It was a decent brush at one point, but for this it's fine as long as I'm not leaving too many bristles on it. But you can see there we've just got a good coat of clear varnish on each one there. Move bits from there, and I will turn these around and do the other side as well. But that's basically it, giving the buttons a good coat of clear gloss varnish to get that shiny effect that you see on the early Tropical Combat uniform. Okay, so coming back to this, we have here one varnished and one unvarnished button to give you a bit of an idea of the contrast there. You can see you do end up with a darker colour as well from the gloss finish, which is just the nature of things when something's given a gloss finish. So as I say, these I think will make quite nice replacements, certainly better than ones that are on the uniform, and they're cheaper than trying to pick up original period buttons for these. The Australian buttons are readily available, and they were made in this colour right the way through to relatively recently. I think they may even still be used in this dark greenish colour. So all they need is a little bit of varnish on them to improve them. As I say, you can, as a friend of mine has done, you can apply varnish to the existing buttons on the uniform. That does improve them somewhat, but I would say replacing them is probably the better option of the two if you can find suitable replacements. Okay, so we'll just take a quick look at the insignia which I'm going to use to replace that which comes on the Mil-Tec jacket, and we have a little selection here. Now, we'll look at the name tape first. This is the only reproduction item. Unsurprisingly, the last name Moore, it's not hard to pick up cheaply made, embroidered, sort of mass-produced black on white name tapes, but I wanted a stamped example, and there is a chap on eBay who reproduces these. I'll put a link down below in a pinned comment showing that. But yeah, so we have the name tape there, and obviously that's going to go over here. And then we have an original yellow on black embroidered US Army tape, which obviously is going to go over there. And then we have airborne insignia here for the 173rd Airborne Brigade, which is going to go up on the arm over there, of course. And then parachute qualifications, the wings, which go up above the US Army tape there. So it's rather nice to see that the colour on the parachute qualification there matches the jacket quite nicely, which is good. So that is the little selection of insignia, which I'm going to obviously replace that which isn't very good. That stuff that comes on the Mil-Tec jacket is not very good, so obviously they will be sewed on in place. So we'll get on with doing that now. One last detail I'll comment on here. As you can see, on removing the US Army tape there is quite a distinct outline of where it's been sewn on. Now this isn't going to cause a problem. In fact, it's a boon to me in helping to line up the insignia I'm going to replace this with. However, if you wanted to sew tapes on following the angle of the pocket, as was sometimes done, this is obviously going to remain a very obvious, even after being pressed or ironed, that will leave quite a distinctive mark on the uniform. It's probably going to cause me an issue when I replace the arm insignia, and obviously with a much smaller patch, you're going to be able to see the outline of the 1st Cavalry patch on the arm where it was sewn on. So that's just something to bear in mind. If you wanted to, say, put name tapes on at an angle, the name tape and the US Army tape on at an angle with the pockets, then this is going to remain visible. So just something to bear in mind if you're looking at doing this yourself. So here we have the finished jacket with the buttons replaced and the new insignia attached. And I hope you'll agree, it's a vast improvement over how it looked before. As I say, other than those two details, the jacket as it comes is a good reproduction, really. But these two changes really help the look of the jacket and makes it accurate from a reenacting point of view. Far more accurate anyway. And I'm very pleased with the results, I have to say. I just thought it would be an interesting little project to take you through in video form. And it's a very easy way of improving the look of the Mil-Tec 1st pattern tropical combat uniform. Of course, the same can be done with the trousers as well, just replacing the buttons on those, and they're a far more accurate reproduction of the original. It's primarily the buttons and obviously the insignia on the jacket which let it down in the first place. Here you can see a side-by-side comparison of the jacket before the buttons and the insignia were changed and after, just to give a better impression of the change that's been wrought on this. And here you can see a close-up shot just showing the name tape, the US Army tape, the wings, and the 173rd Airborne Brigade patch. You can see there the ghosting of where the 1st Cavalry patch has been on the arm. Hopefully with some pressing that will fade in time. So I do hope you found that interesting, although obviously not the normal British Commonwealth fare. This will be turning up in a future video which has more of a British Commonwealth flavour to it, so I'll leave you guessing as to exactly what that entails. If you'd like to see more from the channel and you haven't already, please do consider subscribing. And if you have already subscribed, do make sure you hit the little notification button down below, the little bell, which alerts you when I upload future videos. If you really like my uploads and you'd like to support the channel, there is of course the Patreon page and a PayPal link down below as well for ongoing support or a one-time donation should you wish to make one, and thank you very much to those who have done so. There's also the Facebook and the Instagram page where I post photographs of the collection and so forth, and obviously links to both of those are down below as well. There's also an email address down there should you wish to get in touch with me. Monitor that relatively frequently, so it's a good place to drop me photographs and things you want to talk about, stuff in your own collection and things like that. But that's everything I wanted to cover in this video, so until next time, bye for now.